Hey guys, I'm Brian, and this is Smokey Uncuffed. And today is a great day. Yesterday was my 20th anniversary on the Highway Patrol, so today I am officially retired. So now I am Smokey Uncuffed. So I actually went up Thursday and turned all my stuff in, went through the song and dance, got the plaque, and met with the chief and all that cool stuff. And basically, I was done at that point, but on the books, I had to go through yesterday to get my full 20 years in and be officially retired. So as I promised before, whenever I got to this point, every now and then, I'm not going to make this all about law stuff, but I'm going to do some videos over laws from our side of it whenever we're out there in a patrol car, and just kind of let you see it, somewhat see it through our eyes and the way we have to look at things. So here we go. Okay, so before we get started, first and foremost, do not consider this legal advice whatsoever. Don't think you're going to take this information to court and get you out of any tickets, because by no means am I considering this true legal advice. You need to consult an attorney to get real legal advice. So what I'm going to show you here is just what's through our eyes and how we work the law whenever we are out working the road. So what I've decided to pick on today is one of the things I get hit up most about some of my friends. And usually it's stuff that happens in towns. It's not even stuff that Highway Patrol is going to get you on. But it's red lights and stop signs. I mean, traffic lights, they're not that complex. I mean, you've got green, yellow, and red. And no, yellow does not mean speed up. And that's usually what gets most people in trouble. And so I've drawn a little diagram down here and got some visual aids. And so I'm going to kind of talk you through this and kind of let you make judgment on how you think it works, and I'm going to tell you how it actually works. Okay, so here's kind of a crude drawing of an intersection that's actually in our local town. You've got a 4-lane highway and you've got a 2-lane coming across. These represent your stoplights on each of the lanes. So here's what I'm going to pose. You've got traffic coming from one way. This guy here, the light turns yellow and you're about right there, so you decide to go ahead and push it, and when it turns red, you're about right here. So right or wrong, you just ran a red light because it was red when you were in the intersection and you went on through. So absolutely, you just ran that red light. The whole way that law works is the yellow light is meant for you to slow down and just go ahead and prepare to stop for whenever it's red. If you're in this intersection and that light turns red, you're wrong. And so with that said, if you're this far into the intersection it turns red, you're wrong. In the middle, you're wrong. If your bumper is out in the intersection and that light is red, you are wrong. So that's one of the biggest things I get hit up about most, is because they've got a ticket for running through a yellow light and they were halfway into the intersection. Well, you know, legally you're wrong. Now, so I mean, if any part of your vehicle's in that intersection, legally, yes, you're wrong. I mean, you're not going to convince the officer that stopped you that you were right in doing it, because speeding up and running through an intersection is never a good thing, because you're speeding up, probably going over the speed limit to get through it. Now you're causing more complications. And somebody that's actually trying to get across the intersection when the light turns green and you're still in the intersection, here we go. Now we're going to have wrecks at intersections, and often that's why you see so many wrecks at intersections. Okay, so right here I'm going to give you another scenario. You're wanting to turn left across this intersection. So you pull up here and you wait for traffic that's coming through. And traffic keeps coming through. Grab you another car here, and then as traffic's coming through, the light turns yellow, and so this one has to stop for the red light, so you go ahead and turn. So right or wrong, you just ran a red light. Again, absolutely correct, you have ran a red light. That sitting out there in the intersection and waiting for it to turn is not the answer. If you have to do that and the light turns red while you're sitting there and you turn, you've ran the red light. And now then, that exact scenario, I don't know if that's common everywhere. I know down here around where we live, most of the towns are small, and we see that a lot. I mean, I saw it all the time when I worked. But it is so common around here that rarely do they ever get stopped for doing that very scenario. Now then, if they do it and there's actually an accident from it, that's when you get caught. I mean, because there is no way that the guy that had a green light's wrong when you're out in front of him. So that's one of the many problems we see right there, is just not knowing that if you're in the whole intersection, in any part of your vehicle's in the intersection, when it's red, you're wrong. So the correct answer to that scenario is not a great one, but if it's that busy at that intersection, go down to the next intersection and see if you can make a legal turn. Because by doing that, you're sitting there waiting in the middle of an intersection, and if somebody else is coming from the other direction and you're sitting there broadside and they come plowing through after their light has turned green and you're out there and they hit you, guess who's wrong? Because you have legally failed to yield from a red light. I'll give you an example of that. So you're sitting out here at this intersection and you're waiting for this light to turn so you can go ahead and make your turn. This one catches the red light. You're sitting here and this light has now turned green and you're turning, and Billy Bob doesn't slow down at this intersection and comes along, and as you're making your turn, plows you just like that. Well, legally, you failed to yield from this red light because you were out there in the intersection when the light turned red, and this guy came through on a green light, and although he had speed and hadn't slowed down, you're wrong. So with that exact basic scenario, say you're car number 2 behind a vehicle that's out in that intersection wanting to make a left turn, and the light turns red while you've crept about halfway out the intersection. Let's look at it. Okay, that exact same scenario. The yellow car here is trying to turn left. My intersection is not quite wide enough to pull this off. This guy stops. This guy go ahead and turn, and the nose of your car was actually out in the intersection. So you don't take off, but you're stopped in the lane of traffic. So somebody coming from this way could clip you. You have ran a red light. You are in an intersection when the light is red. So your options, when this guy's sitting here and the light turns red and this guy's coming and he turns, you got to either back up, which odds are you're not going to be able to because Billy Bob's parked too close to you at the intersection, or you got to take off. Well, now you've definitely ran a red light, but backing up on a roadway is not legal. So my whole point to that scenario, if there's somebody actually out there trying to do that little maneuver where they're turning, you stop legally behind the red light where you're not in the intersection. If they get to go ahead and turn and it's still green, take off. But if you're sitting there waiting and it turns yellow, don't gun it and try to make it across. It's just not worth it. I mean, aside from getting stopped and getting a ticket, the accident that could come from that is just, it's definitely not worth it. Never worth it to put yourself in danger when there's no need to. I'll say, okay, so the next thing is I'll put some stop signs on the little diagram here, and I'm just going to kind of look at a stop sign situation. I mean, there's not too many things that most people don't understand about stop signs, but there are a few that do cause just a few issues. Okay, let me just say first off, if you live in a place where stop signs look this poorly and they're handwritten, yeah, just go ahead and move. My handwriting's horrible and I didn't have a better way of making stop signs for you. So let's say you're here in this little yellow car and you're driving along here and you can see nobody's coming at all and you're wanting to turn right. So you slow down there, roll a little bit, and just go ahead and turn. Absolutely wrong. And I mean, this is one of the easiest things to catch people on, is because all I got to do is watch your tires. And if you slow down and you're still sitting here just barely creeping and rolling and then go ahead and turn, you just ran a stop sign. Because legally, you have to stop behind the stop sign, and if you can't see, you pull forward and then you turn. But if you're cruising along and you think, okay, well, I'm just going to stop out here because I can't see well because the soda truck is in the way, you can't see, so you go ahead and creep out here a little ways. On your first stop, you roll up and you stop here, you ran a stop sign. You have to stop behind it first. And that is one of the #1 things that you get nailed on in a small town, is because legally a stop is behind the stop sign. Then you creep up and look and make sure you've come to a complete stop. That rolling thing never works. So I mean, that in a small town, that kind of stuff, if there's nobody around and you roll it and the police officer's near and sees it, probably at most he's just going to stop you and say, dude, stop at the stop sign. You know, it's not going to be a huge issue, and maybe they'll write you a ticket. I mean, there is no way I can tell you one way or the other how they deem that. If they deem that was a hazardous move by you, you're wrong. I mean, you have got to stop behind the stop sign and stop behind the stop lights. Don't try to run those yellow lights. Okay, so just one more stop sign deal real quick. So when you pull up to an intersection and let's say 3 cars pull up at the same time, who goes? Who's the one that's supposed to take the first move? The correct answer is always the one on the farthest right. Let me show you. So here's the scenario. So 3 of you are coming up and you pull up and stop at the stop sign around the same time. So who goes first? Well, it's the guy on the farthest right. This spot's empty. The guy on the farthest right goes. Generally, in that situation, if this guy's going and this guy's going straight, they'll both just go at the same time. This one goes. Rarely does that happen, but it happens. So with that last scenario, I mean, the questions are going to pop up, I'm certain. If you get out there in that situation and you have a wreck in that intersection, how do we determine who did it? It's often hard. I mean, the truth of it is we'll have to interview everybody that was around, any other cars that were in the area. We'll take witness statements, and we just have to make a judgment there. And oftentimes, whenever there's that much controversy in an accident of that situation, we won't write a ticket to anybody. We'll let it go to court and let the judge make the judgment. And if that situation arises, often you're in trouble. I mean, because he wasn't there at all. We're in the same boat when we roll up. I mean, the best thing about most of the wrecks that I had to work, because I was out in the county, most of my stuff was higher speed. You learn to read the evidence off accidents, how skid marks look, what it looks like when you roll over, what a yaw is, and you can basically, after you've done it for so long, you just look at the evidence in the scene. You can immediately say, okay, this guy ran off the road over here, went sideways, got in front of this guy, they hit. My stuff was easy. Stop sign wrecks are tough because it's low speed and you seldom ever really know who's telling you the truth. So in that situation, I mean, it's just one of those things. We tell this to people all the time. Use your best judgment. You be courteous. Let the other guy go first. Don't force your way in, because, I mean, that's what generally causes problems. Somebody's in a hurry. So guys, that's actually all I'm going to talk about in this video. I mean, I just wanted to cover this because this is something that I get hit up quite a bit about, because somebody around my local towns got pulled over for running a stoplight or running a stop sign or messing up basically in an intersection like that. And I just wanted to cover it. I mean, I wanted to get my opinion of how it looks from our side. As I said before, this is not considered legal advice. If you actually need true legal advice, go find an attorney, because what I'm saying here is not going to help you in court. So guys, if you haven't done so yet, please subscribe, and I'll see y'all next time.